Was it wise to push Bridon so far? Edmer asked. The man needs to be dealt with, Jesful replied, turning his gaze from the scrying bowl. The scene in the alley had unsettled him more than he cared to admit. We cannot stray from our path. He has an invaluable gift. The coalition will suffer from his loss. Edmer ran a finger along the ridge of his crooked nose. Clint is the only other with that ability. I am aware, but from everything I've seen, Bridon will drag the coalition down if left unchecked. I'll have to take your word for it, Edmer said. I was not blessed with prophetic sight. I would call it anything but a gift, Jesful muttered with a frown. Knowing pieces of the future is as much curse as blessing. I only wish the sight offered more clarity. Flashes and fragments are what I usually see. Still, there's no mistaking Brithan's intentions. What made him a liability? His involvement with Domgon, Jesful said flatly. The Fawcast leader has his eyes set on the enforcement coalition. Edmer chuckled. Domgon's ambitions are no secret, Warlock. Carrying the scrying bowl, Jesful moved behind the counter of his shop. True, but Bridon is trusted, admired. A few misplaced rumors from him could sway half the coalition, and with his gift, they'd be inclined to believe without question. Edmer wandered among the shelves, eyeing Jesful's wares with faint amusement. The table of hallucinogens held his attention. Roots, herbs, powders, some to incapacitate, others to kill. He knew Jesful trafficked in such things, but seeing them laid out in jars was another matter. That table is favored by your associates, Jesful said without looking up, as he poured the scrying water back into its flask. I've replenished it more times than I care to count. Does it not trouble you? Edmer asked, picking up a jar of shroudberry. To deal in death so casually? Selling poison that leaves a man none the wiser. No more than it troubles you to serve the man who covets faceless throne. Domgon's schemes will never bear fruit, Edmer said, returning the jar and lifting another vial, this one of thick black liquid. His greed eclipses his wit. Silphium. Jesful's tone softened. Before you judge, that plant has spared many children from a life sold to flesh peddlers. Not much choice for the unborn, Edmer said grimly. I understand the reasoning, but the morality is murky. I advise birth control, Edmer. Some listen, some refuse. There are alternatives to silphium, safer, with fewer side effects. Then stop selling it, Edmer said, setting the vial down. And leave the charlatans of Warlock's way to peddle their poisons? You forget, I am the only true Warlock in this city. Frandon may dabble, but his wares are dangerous trash. Jesful joined him at the table. I cannot dictate lives. I can only ensure what I sell won't kill them outright. So finer quality excuses the act? Edmer asked with a crooked smile. You won't bait me into moral debate, Jesful said firmly. People must choose for themselves. Our government leaves them few choices. Men for the army, women for the brothels. There are other paths, Edmer countered. Thievery? Murder for hire? Are those the better options? I said other, not better, Edmer replied, coughing to mask a laugh. Jesful shook his head. Belief is ruled by emotion. Change the mood, you change the stance. That's why conversations like this are rarely fruitful. I know the sort of man you are, Jesful. I'd never condemn you for your trade. But let's not pretend society sees it so cleanly. Bias, passion, ignorance, these weigh heavier than truth. You're in the minority, Edmer. People are strange, myself included. But we didn't come here to argue philosophy. Jesful reached beneath the counter, drawing out 2 glasses and a decanter of dark Kyson rum. Then let's return to business. Edmer smirked. Too much of that, and there'll be no business at all. We'll pace ourselves, Jesful said, pouring. Food will help. Edmer accepted his glass. Kyson's the best in the world, potent beyond compare. What gives it such bite, I wonder? A trade secret. I've never cared to ask. Might be worth investigating. Could be lucrative. I've no need for wealth, Edmer. You know this. Just a thought. A man with your talents could easily. We've had this talk, Jesful snapped. I am who I am. No changing that now. Edmer raised his free hand. Fine. Let's get to the real matter. Jesful fetched 2 chairs, set them before the counter, then locked the door and turned the shop sign. He scanned Stellan Road carefully before returning. Domgon moved too quickly with Bridon, Edmer said as they sat down. The man was already a zealot, and his zealotry will justify Clint's contract, Jesful said calmly. I hardly needed to nudge him at all. I thought you'd push too hard. Jesful gave a dark smile. Not everyone in our world is clever. Many thieves and assassins are sharp-minded. but some teeter on the brink. Bridhan is one such. Edmer swirled his glass. How did Faceless discover Strat's potential? Jestful studied him. Edmer's wit and cunning were dangerous enough. His bloodline made him more so. His father, the infamous Two-Tooth, stood second in command of the coalition. Jestful chose his words with care. Strat is an anomaly, Jestful said at last. His true strength comes from within. Not from another person, but something else entirely. Why so cryptic? Edmer pressed. What we say here dies here. You know I've stood with you since Seedy Acres. I left Joran for Fawcast to keep distance from my father, just for this. Jestful sighed. Faceless carries a portion of Rick's. Edmer leaned back. That explains his recovery. Rumors of his healing, yes. Rick's makes perfect sense. Speak of it to no one, Jestful warned. If word spreads, others will act rashly. You had me worried when you hesitated, Edmer said. I understand. Jestful's brow furrowed. It's not your loyalty I doubt, Edmer. It's magic. Enemies can pry secrets from the strongest mind. That is why I hold back. I'll not be taken alive. Jestful shook his head. A vow means little if you're struck from behind, or felled by spellcraft. Even you, one of the best in Los Andres, are not immune. Magic trumps steel, that's why Nist is feared. I thought Nist was feared for what it does to its hosts. Only the Hartar of Uxalan were warped so, Jestful corrected. They were never meant to touch Nist or Rix. Their kind came to Shanguros less than 15 centuries ago. They were the first to mark time with a calendar. Before that, we had only stories. Another mystery solved, Edmer said wryly. Explains why our year is only 1279. Jestful raised a brow. You take it lightly. I'm no scholar, Edmer said with a shrug. It excites you, perhaps. Me. I accept it and move on. History has little use for my profession. Yet the wise learn from it. Let the leaders study it. I've no wish to be one. You'd make a valuable one. And leave a hole when I depart for Uxalan? Edmer smirked. Domgon won't be stepping down anytime soon. No void to fill. Jestful chuckled. You just hate history. True enough, Edmer admitted. But prophecy spares me from a life chained to this work. Jestful's tone softened. Perhaps you'll change your mind in Uxalan. Strat is fortunate to have such faith around him. Cryptic again, Edmer chided. But we all knew the risks when we agreed. Our lives against the fate of Shanguros. It's a trade worth making. Jestful's gaze hardened. Domgon is becoming a problem. He's sent Kelton to spy in Joran. Faceless will deal with him tomorrow. You mean kill him? Edmer scoffed. For spying? Hard to believe. Spies are everywhere. But Kelton's shop overlooks Stellan Road. Perfect for surveillance. Faceless needs it cleared. That will start war with the Sicario Consortium. Jestful shrugged. Kelton chose poorly. If the Sicario challenges Faceless, it will be one-sided. He is far more dangerous than you realize. Rix heals, but not fast enough to stop a dozen arrows, Edmer warned. Faceless will only be caught unawares once, Jestful said, pouring another drink. After that, never again. He may yet prove more fearsome than Ryam. Edmer slammed his glass down. Impossible. Ryam is the vilest creature alive. Is this sight or wild guesswork? I know them both, Jestful said evenly. Ryam's evil is sharpened by madness, but that madness is weakness. Faceless has no such flaw. Edmer's jaw tightened. Prophecy foretells what will come. Prophecy is fickle, Jestful countered. Not to this degree. I wish you were right, Jestful muttered, draining his glass. Edmer studied the man across from him. Jestful's disguise, a stooped, blotched, balding husk with a wheezing voice, was grotesque. Only his true baritone betrayed him. Jestful wore it, because no one ever looked twice at a pathetic old man. I feel a draft, Jestful grumbled, wiping his brow. Your disguise leaves much to be desired, Edmer said with a smirk. And yet it keeps me hidden. That is its perfection. Faceless has never once visited you? Not himself. He sent Chon. Edmer laughed. Chon. The man's an idiot. You mistake poor speech for poor thought. Chon is no fool. I find his blunt honesty refreshing. Ugh. I can barely stand to hear him. Your loss, Jestful said with a shrug. Edmer leaned forward. And Faceless? How will you handle him? With magic. And caution, Jestful replied. Enough to match him? Jestful's eyes glinted. I have an advantage, Nist. His fragment of Rix is small. I wield more Nist than anyone alive. I have nothing to fear. Are you calling him your nemesis? Edmer asked. Jestful shook his head. Not him, Rix itself. Nist and Rix have been at war since the First Division. Faceless is simply another vessel. Do you want me here? No. I need him alone. Don't underestimate him. I never underestimate anyone. But when Rix stirs within him, our conversation will not remain words. He must know what he carries. Only then can he fulfill what's coming. Dangerous gamble, Edmer warned. A necessary one, Jestful replied. Edmer stood, offering his hand. Until our next meeting. Until then, Jestful said, walking him to the back door. Be unseen when you leave. No one will know I was here. Jestful watched as Edmer melted into the shadows of the back street. They would meet once more before Edmer departed for Fawcast, to play his part in guiding Strat toward Morganthane.